All right, let's talk about the very, very top of the real estate market. Because if you think you know how it works, you might want to think again. There is a massive shift happening right now, and the old rule book for buying and selling these incredible properties, it's basically being thrown out the window.
And it really all starts with this one question. I mean, for years, the answer was pretty obvious, right? A huge mansion was the ultimate trophy. It was a sign that you'd made it. But what if that's not the main reason anymore? What if there's something way more strategic going on behind the scenes? And this right here, this is the heart of the whole thing. On the left, you've got the old way of thinking. A home is all about status, about showing off. But on the right, that's the new reality. A property is a strategic asset. It's a critical piece of a much larger financial and lifestyle puzzle.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll kick things off with this big shift from trophy to strategy. Then we'll get into the new buyer's playbook. We're also going to explore why this market seems to be totally insulated from the rest of the economy, talk about the next generation of buyers, and finally, what all of this means for the people who work in this industry. So, first up, the buyer's new playbook. This is all about a fundamental change in mindset. Today's luxury buyer isn't just out shopping for a pretty house. They're making a calculated financial move, almost thinking more like their own wealth advisor. And the one word you really need to understand this new way of thinking is belonging. A recent report from Christie's International Real Estate really nails this. See, it's not about fitting in with the neighbors anymore. It's about finding a property that truly fits you, your values, your family's future, your entire long-term plan. It's just a much, much deeper reason to buy. And this quote really shatters a common myth. We tend to imagine the super rich making these wild, impulsive buys. But Gavin Schwartzman from Christie's points out, nope, they're actually incredibly rational. The only difference is they have the cash to pull the trigger the second they find an asset that perfectly matches their goals. So this is what it all boils down to. We're seeing people treat their real estate holdings as a serious asset class. It's not just a one-off purchase anymore. They're looking at their properties with the same scrutiny you'd look at your stock portfolio, analyzing how each piece fits into the bigger picture. So let's move on to our second point, because this new way of thinking helps explain why the luxury market seems to be playing a totally different game than everyone else, especially with the economy being what it is today.
I mean, this is the question, right? We're constantly hearing about how high interest rates are crushing the regular housing market, but at the same time, you see headlines about another record-breaking sale at the high end. So, what gives? Well, the answer really lies in a few key factors. First off, these buyers are way less sensitive to mortgage rates because, a lot of these deals are cash. Their decisions are tied more to how their stock portfolios are doing. Plus, you have this constant fire hose of new money coming from tech and AI. But maybe the biggest reason of all, these buyers can afford to wait. And that last point is so crucial. Like Schwartzman says, when you're buying your second or third or fourth home, there's no rush. You don't have to move for a new job. You have the ultimate luxury, which is the power to wait for the absolute perfect moment to make your move. Okay, so that brings us to our third topic, what's next? The future of luxury is really being shaped by two huge trends: how wealth is being passed down and how we even define a luxury location anymore. You've probably heard this term before, the great wealth transfer. We're talking about trillions, with a T, of dollars moving from the baby boomer generation to their kids and grandkids over the next few decades. And that is going to have a profound impact on, well, everything, but especially real estate. But here's the thing. The way this is actually playing out is a little different than what people imagine. We have this idea of a single giant inheritance check. The reality? It's much more like a slow, steady drip of wealth that's happening right now through things like helping with a down payment. It's a gradual process, not one big event. And as this new money makes its way into the market, it's completely redrawing the map. It's not just about having a place in a predictable spot like Aspen or Palm Beach anymore. The new luxury is all about expressing who you are. And if you need proof, get this. A single property in the northern suburbs of Chicago just sold for $34 million. Now, that's not exactly a market you associate with that kind of price tag, which just goes to show you, buyers will pay a massive premium for something that's totally unique no matter what the zip code is. And in the end, it all comes down to this. You can always hire the best architect and designer in the world to replicate the inside of a house. But what you can never recreate is that one-of-a-kind piece of land, that specific view. That has become the ultimate luxury.
Which brings us to our final takeaway. This whole shift from status symbol to strategic asset has completely changed the game for the real estate professionals working in this space.
The biggest misconception out there is that success in luxury real estate is just about your network or having a fancy logo. But as Schwartzman says, that's not it at all. In this new world, it all comes down to one thing: being a truly trusted advisor. And becoming that kind of advisor, it's not easy. It means you have to understand a client's entire financial life, not just the house they want to buy. You've got to build deep knowledge and bring real, valuable insight to the table. It's about earning that trust, not just closing a deal.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought, which really gets to the heart of this whole thing. If a home is now treated as just another line item and a portfolio, analyzed with the same cold rationality as a stock or a bond, what does that say about our whole cultural idea of home? Does it change what it fundamentally means? That's the new reality we're all navigating,